Welcome back, everybody, to episode 106 of Stream with the Mouse, where today we're talking about episode 3 of Marvel Studios' Hawkeye, titled Echoes. Sit back, relax, this is Stream with the Mouse. Welcome on back, everybody, to Stream with the Mouse. My name's Cam Ramos, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, my co-pilot, Cliff. Cliff, say hello to nice people.
Hello, everyone. Happy, recap Hawkeye Day. Not yes. Hawkeye Day, that's Wednesday. That's every Wednesday for the next couple weeks. But what an episode.
This series is fun, man. This one is very, very fun. And I think I said that for Falcon and Winter Soldier 2, but I really mean it for this one. Like, this is a very, very fun series, and I'm having a great time watching it. It's nice having all the Christmas feels with it too. It's a really good show, and I'm excited to talk about this third episode, which was really great with you.
I really like this episode, and I think Falcon and Winter Soldier started out fun. It started out like a fun show, and it didn't nosedive, but it fizzled out.
Then you had Captain America beating somebody to death, and then it got weird.
I will say that is one of the most iconic shots in MCU history.
Absolutely, I agree. Yes.
As they had to, and we know what the plot was supposed to be if a pandemic didn't happen. So this being fun, and this was the episode. This was the pinnacle episode. This was the make or break, and it definitely made it. I have some gripes. Is it when's Festivus? Festivus must
the
be
23rd. The 23rd.
It's not Festivus yet, but stop my complaints. Stop leaving us with cliffhangers. It was a great cliffhanger, don't get me wrong, but please stop. I need to actually think and do work between episodes over a week.
Yeah, I mean, the cliffhangers for Loki were good, but I think the cliffhangers for WandaVision were the best, and this was like up there with like oh my god, I have to wait another week for this kind of thing. And I was like that for Loki too, where I was like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode, but like this was just like a cliffhanger with drama, intensity. It wasn't just like Loki and Sylvie going through the portals, like S is about to go down right now, and we just stopped. And I was like, what the heck? We also had maybe the first appearance of my guy. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but before we talk more about the episode, Cliff, we got to go over some news. Cliff, if you want to start sharing that.
Yes, so in a very un-Kevin Feige-like interview,
he's giving too much.
He's giving too much. There's a gun to his head. We have official confirmation that Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil in the MCU. When he will appear,
and
how, in Kevin Feige's words, you'll see him when you watch the shows, which is hilarious to me. Which that's his way of being like, okay, we're giving you this, and we're gonna walk it back. My belief of why we got it is because they finally introduced Echo, and we know everyone and their mother knew that the co-male lead in Echo is probably going to be Daredevil. So I think it was just we were waiting to finally introduce Echo. Now we'll confirm it. Very similar to how Haley Steinfeld was introduced as Kate Bishop, where it's like, you all know, everyone knows. Oh, we should probably just say it. There we go.
Well, I'm still under the impression that Charlie Cox. Well, when are we recording this? We're recording this on the 6th.
Yes.
10 days from now, Cliff, you and I will be watching Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm convinced that is when we will see Charlie Cox come into the official MCU out of the Netflix shows. I'm convinced we're going to see him in some way, shape, or form.
I agree. I think we will see him as lawyer Charlie Cox.
Which is fine. I just want to see it. I want to see my guy. It's been a long time.
Before we talk Hawkeye, I have a few other things. But before we talk Hawkeye, out of the Netflix series, do you bring everyone back? Do you bring all the major heroes back?
Maybe. I really didn't care for the Iron Fist show. If you bring them back, I trust Marvel Studios to do it better than I would have like Marvel / Netflix collab kind of thing. And it wasn't against anything. Like Danny Rand is a cool character and stuff like that in the comics. It wasn't anything against the actors. Just I didn't care for the show. I feel like it was dumb. Him in Defenders now is pretty cool, but I hope you do bring back some of the other actors. Like I thought Jessica Jones the second season kind of sucked if I'm being honest, but the first season was phenomenal. Luke Cage first season was also good until the end as well. I thought the end was a little crappy because you got rid of the best character, I thought, halfway through the show, but whatever. But no, I think they're all going to come back in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not Jessica Jones.
Oh, I would personally think Jessica Jones over. I would picture Kristen Ritter coming back over Finn Jones.
So I think she would come back. I just don't think it'll be a Jessica Jones show. I think she'll come in something else.
I think she'd be introduced in She-Hulk. I think she would be a great
She-Hulk
supporting cast. My thing is, I know, spoilers for Netflix, Jessica Henwick's character Colleen becomes the Iron Fist at the end. Kind of.
Yeah.
I think she would be great being brought into the MCU as a different character. If they're going the everything Spider-Man way, I don't want to mess up based on Descendants because I don't know the characters too well, but I think like Silk would be a really cool character for her to play.
Silk would be sick, yeah.
But I don't, like I said, I don't want to get into, because that's when you start getting into different nationalities, and I don't want to, when I don't know the characters, I'm not going to talk about them.
Fair.
But what else? We do have some very interesting news today, where actually Shang-Chi news, because we got confirmation that a sequel is in place. There is a sequel coming. Did you see his message? Did you see his tweet?
Simu? No, I didn't see it.
He tweeted, "We flopped so hard, we got a sequel."
Yeah, got it.
Which
Love
I thought was really funny.
Nice little tongue-in-cheek little FU. I like it.
Yeah. The other thing from that, though, is Destin Daniel Cretton, who was the director of Shang-Chi, got a movie deal as well as multiple television show deals.
Yeah, from what I saw, I think from Collider, I believe it was, that there is a Shang-Chi tie-in show. So whether that's going to be a Shang-Chi show on Disney Plus, or if it's her sister and taking over the Ten Rings, which that's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the sister version of the Ten Rings. I think that would make for an awesome show. That's my guess of what it's going to be, but I'm excited to see. I'll have Katie just have a show to herself, like a nice little comedy stand-up special. I'd like that from Katie. She was a cool character. Gotta love Aquafina.
For sure. That would just be her own TV show going back to it. Other than that, for news, we don't really have a ton. I don't know. When's the last time you've been to the movies?
Last movie that I saw, what was it? Oh, I saw Eternals. That was the last movie I saw.
Oh, wow.
I meant to see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I just haven't made it to the movie theater yet.
We had the decision this weekend between Ghostbusters and House of Gucci, and we saw House of Gucci, and honestly, very good movie.
Oh, that would have been a very different choice for me. But
I know it would have been a very different choice for you. But it was.
But
good.
I'm getting boosted up on Wednesday, so by the time
there you go,
Spider-Man, I'll be good. So I'm very excited.
There you go. Yeah, it was between that, but I have a movie pass that gives me multiple movies a month, so I can take movie risks.
That's right.
I can take the risk on a potential movie I might not like, whereas it's not worth it if you're going to go and spend $30.
Right.
But is it time?
It is time.
You hear it? Is there an echo in the room?
Oh, Jesus. You are the worst.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 3 of Hawkeye, titled Echoes. Just an awesome episode. I really like the way that the start. So same way as I always talk about the main points. We're going to have a conversation, not so much as a recap. But first thing, we got another introductory prologue, kind of like what we did in episode 1 for Kate Bishop. But in this case, we get it from Maya Lopez, aka Echo. We get kind of her origin story. So Echo is deaf in the comics. She's also deaf in the show. I'm going to call her Maya, I guess, because technically she might not be Echo yet. But Maya is at school. She's surrounded by children who don't share her deafness. I don't know how else you would say that. But what I really like with this part, too, is we see the world through Maya's eyes. Everything is muffled, is very quiet. It's a lot of lip reading and subtitles and whatnot. And we see that Maya is able to pick up what her teacher is saying by reading lips. No one's really adapting to her. The only one that really adapts to her is her father, William, who unfortunately can't afford to send her to a school for people that are deaf. He advises his daughters that she has to continue learning through observation. And we see this in a little bit. We see her in karate. She's very observant on the techniques and lets her mimic and overpower others. And she does that too, where unfortunately the world isn't made for her and they're not willing to adapt for her, but she's able to adapt to the world that is kind of cruel and doesn't adapt to her. But we see her being able to be a good fighter. We see that she's able to learn how to read lips as well as practice ASL so she can communicate with others. So we do get her as a little kid. We also get her later in life too, where she's returning from a sparring class when all of a sudden Ronan is attacking the compound that she's returning to. She hides before Ronan escapes, and then she finds her dad is fatally injured, braces him for one last time before he passes away. But nice little origin story, again, told in 10 minutes. And Cliff, let's get to this first, and then I have a question for you. What were your thoughts on this? I thought it was great.
I can't even believe you didn't mention a specific part. I'll let you introduce it, of course. I loved it, to be 100% honest. I thought it was such a nice way. I was kind of shocked in the sense that that Maya's character also was an amputee, because Alec was in real life is as well. I was like, oh, maybe they'll just CGI something on. I'm really happy they didn't. I'm glad they're letting her be herself while being Echo, which I really like. And honestly, she might be the best actress in the show. She, even though she can't speak, she does everything through signing. Her emotion even just in the beginning is just so intense and incredible that it's great. And I really loved the school thing, because we heard how she hears. We saw how she was, but it also is showing that she was smart. She can pick up very specific things with her disability, which
you kind of get the teacher going to reprimand her. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, it's just setting up all these things to show you. It's like you said, it's this incredible narrative storytelling that lays everything on, leaves some room to question while laying an incredible groundwork. And especially with the dad getting killed right off the bat, I was very upset. How dare you? How dare you? But it was great.
And this is one that I know what part I skipped over. We're gonna talk about it later in the episode because I want to.
Okay.
But this is something I want to ask you. Do you think this is the way that Marvel goes with maybe some of their shows and maybe even their movies going forward, that they were able to tell Kate Bishop's origin story and Maya's origin story in less than 10 minutes each effectively, to the point where you actually cared when Maya's dad died, you cared when Kate's dad died. We have a lot of daddy issues in this episode, I just realized.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but you get both of those, you feel for them. Granted, I don't think Mr. Bishop is dead, but we'll see what happens. But you get those effective things. So could we see the route where, let's call a spade, something Marvel has struggled in sometimes, in some movies, not all, is their origin story movies. And that was what was great with Spider-Man, was we didn't get the Uncle Ben dying again. We skipped all that. We just got, he was Spider-Man. You know what happens here. This, you get a quick 10 minutes, and now you already have this character's story built up within 10 minutes. Do you think that's something that we go the route of in the future?
I don't know. I think
it's going to depend.
I don't know. It's a cheap answer on my part, but we have to look at what the MCU is. The MCU compared to DC, the MCU is a coalition of multiple writers, directors, and everything in between that, in theory, share a same end vision, directed by Kevin Feige. Mm-hmm. When you compare that to DC, and this is, I don't mean to throw any pot shots at DC. This is just the easiest example. DC is a conglomerate of multiple writers, directors, and everything in between that don't share a same image and want to put their stamp on a specific thing.
And they're working in 50 different universes, basically. Exactly. There's no one cohesive story.
And there's no cohesive story, and that's what hurts it. And they get incredible writers and directors. It's just sometimes it doesn't blend. It doesn't blend and I won't throw any pot shots. I'm feeling nice. I'm feeling in the Christmas spirit because of Hawkeye. I think it's based around who is writing and who is telling the story. I think it's fully based around that, where Iron Man does do a good job. I think Iron Man obviously tells the story of Tony Stark, but it's more based around who Tony Stark was than let me tell you the whole life story. We get that through as it goes along, which is great. Mm-hmm. I think they kind of miffed Black Widow. I think that was kind of a swing and a miss for like a backstory. Like I think I really did not like, other than the opening credit with the music, I didn't like her setup story of how it happened with her wanting to stay in Ohio. Because even in a fake universe, no one wants to stay in Ohio. And I think it's based around the writing, because in TV you get, especially Marvel, you're getting at least 40 to 60 minutes.
Sure.
You can tell a lot in that time, where it's showing how impressive these writers are getting, because they can tell an entire story in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can, and I think there was a good way to put this. Is there people, if you've ever played the Assassin's Creed games have you ever played any of them?
No. Nope.
You follow a character, his name's Ezio, from literal life. You see him born all the way until he dies, and you just feel this immense connection to them. With both Kate as well as Maya, we now know their life story up until this part.
Right.
There is some sort of deep connection now, especially with these two characters. I mean, for you and me, very close in age, we're obviously going to feel like we understand them to a certain stance. And that, to me, is what is just like, it's the storytelling of it, where you meet these people from literally, at times, life to death. Yeah. And even if they're fake, there's still some semblance of like emotion of just connecting with them on some layer.
Yeah, that's a great point, Cliff. No, that's good. Okay. Again, I know I skipped a big part in Echo's origin story. We will talk about it.
You did.
If you don't think I will talk about it, you're sorely mistaken, because I was fist pumping at 3 a.m. watching this, but we'll move on. I want to talk about the battle at the abandoned KB Toys. One, hilarious. It was an abandoned KB Toys. That was the fun. Was KB Toys it was like ending as I was growing up. So was that like a thing for you to go into KB Toys?
I lived on an island growing up, so we really didn't
have KB Toys.
We didn't have anything like that. So yeah. to me, I didn't really try fast food until I was like 8 or 9.
Fair. Okay. Honest. For me, so KB Toys closed probably when I was like 7, 8-ish or so. So like obviously when you went to the big guy, you went to Toys R Us, but also you would go to KB Toys, you'd get your wrestling action figures. The amount of Spider-Man action figures that are probably in my parents' attic right now are probably from KB Toys, from the original Spider-Man franchise, the Raimi movies. So that was just a fun little like, holy cow, that's a thing that's happening right now. But the abandoned KB Toys is where the Tracksuit Mafia, they're like headquartering. We're picking up where we picked off last week's in episode 2, where Kate and Clint are still tied up to those, I almost said mechanical bulls, but those little mechanical things. Yeah, a little bit off. And we get this really cool mini battle where Clint and Kate are able to escape. But before they do that, Maya is obviously upset because she saw Ronan kill her father. She thinks Kate is Ronan based off all the hints that she has. Clint tries to explain that Ronan's dead and that the person that killed him is Black Widow, which is true from a certain point of view. Shout out Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's able to escape his restraints. We get this awesome fight scene where he's able to get his bow and arrow. But in the process, he has his hearing aid smashed by Maya. They go back and forth where he can't really hear. Kate is struggling to be like, how the heck do I get out of this? Clint told me to watch for a sign so I can escape. Clint is able to fire a bow and arrow to basically pin Maya up against a wall, which again shows we know he's the best with the bow and arrow, but just shows how good he really is. He's able to take two arrows at the same time, pin Maya up against a wall, jump off of something into a ball pit while also shooting an arrow pinpoint to go past people and break Kate free of her restraints. We see Kate again just being a badass with her martial arts skills. We see her 619, what's-his-face, Kazi, and they're able to escape. But it was a really fun scene, and the biggest thing, obviously, was that Clint is doing this with a loss of hearing. So it kind of puts him and Maya on that equal footing without the loss of hearing, but at the same time it doesn't, because Maya is clearly at an advantage, because Maya's been doing this her whole life. Clint's been trying to avoid this for the last however many years, basically, at this point, by wearing his hearing aid and not having that experience of... We see him try to sign a little bit with with Nathaniel at the beginning of the movie, but he struggles a little bit, just basic stuff. But yeah, what do you think, Cliff, of this little fight scene? I thought it was great.
Do you think that was fun to film? Do you think Jeremy Renner was having like a good time doing that, like jumping into the ball pit? Like, I think that would be just.
If that was him or his stunt double, whoever it was jumping out of the ball onto the ball pit must have been hilarious because that's so unlike anything that you would think an Avenger would do. Hey, I'm going to do this crazy thing, and it's going to be. And again, it goes with the humor of the show. I'm diving into a ball pit. I'm not diving off like a building into concrete. Like, nope, little kid's ball pit. No big deal.
He's got to do some of his own stunts, wouldn't you think?
Probably. I don't know.
I mean, his whole thing has been other than a small music career. He's done a lot of action movies.
Fair.
And I see that he has a stunt coordinator, but I know like for a lot of people, like Chris Evans, he does a lot of his own stunts, but they do have some people brought in for the big things. I don't know. What a great fight scene. And I think it was also cool incorporating how he tried to kick her leg. He tried to kick Echo's leg and it didn't work. And he kind of, that discombobulated him. He's like, wait, that usually works.
Yeah.
He thwapped him with it. Kate Bishop's humor is very good. I think that to me is like the best. What's the best way to say it? It's the best part of the show, in my opinion. Like, it's just because it's the model of Florence Pugh for Black Widow. It's just kind of like a fourth wall. They're setting us up for Daredevil. They're setting us up for a fourth wall break. They're getting very close to
You mean Deadpool.
Thank you, sorry.
Can I say something that's maybe controversial?
Yes.
We're less than 3 hours into our like friendship with Kate Bishop. I think Kate Bishop is becoming one of my favorite MCU characters. Like, hands down, I want to see her interact with Alina, which I think we're going to get. I want to see Kate Bishop with Thor, like funny Thor after Ragnarok. I think they would bounce back off and forth with each other. Her and Rocket would be... Give me Kate Bishop with all the funny characters, and I think it would be gold. Absolute gold, Jerry. I want to see it.
And if you think about it, we're actually introducing one of her close friends in Multiverse of Madness. We're introducing America Chavez.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, I was like...
I think they're very much de-aging America Chavez, though. I think she's going to be like 14 compared to Kate's 22. I think it's fine. Honestly, out of everything, I just want a version of her sweatshirt. I want one of those purple sweatshirts, honestly. Yeah, this, like, so many people are like, why is there going to be an Echo show? And this episode alone, I think, really sold it. I'm like,
I want an Echo show so bad.
Like, an Echo show is cool. Especially now with the Charlie Cox news, I think that kind of dilutes like I was so excited for it when it was first announced. But it's going to be really cool, especially like, I mean, I think also the dynamic duo of a blind character with a deaf character is going to be interesting as well.
Yeah.
But I think like with Maya, you can tell it's not evil. It's just so much pent up rage and anger. And it's like, I hate the world, compared to some of the other evil that we've seen throughout it. She's very actually similar. What's her name? Who is the Ant-Man 2 villain in air quotes? Ghost. She's very much like Ghost, where she's not angry at anyone in particular. Well, Ghost was very much angry at Hank Pym. But it's more just this anger at the world, anger at the unfairness of everything.
And that's the thing is like, is she part of a group of people called the Tracksuit Mafia who's not very good people? Yes. But I think it adds really well to her character where she's a fighter, she's a survivor. She lost her. We don't know what happened to her mom. It's not in the picture of this show. Her dad is obviously murdered by Ronin.
DEAD. Was he murdered by Ronin, though?
Most likely.
Was he? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that towards the end.
But no, so very interesting things going on here, but it shows she's a fighter, she's a survivor. So yes, she's part of this bad group, but that doesn't mean she's a bad person. She's just trying to get by basically right now, and she does want her revenge. But are you good with this part, or we get to go to probably my favorite part of the show so far?
Yeah, because I have a question about one of the characters, but he's a big part of the chase. So then I'll ask you the question when we're done with the chase.
I love this chase scene. So Kate and Clint escape. We get this awesome chase scene where it's all about teamwork, really, and it's really cementing and putting that foundation level on the teamwork between Kate and Clint, because they work really well together. Because right now, Clint can't hear anything. He lost his hearing aid. It was destroyed by Maya, and they're able to kind of still communicate and work together really well, even though they can't verbally talk to each other. Like, Kate tries a bunch of times and slowly has to come to the realization, like, we got to try something different here because he can't hear me, and whatnot. But we get this awesome scene where Clint's driving, Kate's using all these trick arrows, learning about the trick arrows. It was very, very funny, and just really cool. And we got to see parts of this, I think, like the week of the first two episodes being released. I think Disney Plus put like bits and pieces of the chase scene. We didn't get the full thing though, but I just thought it was really well filmed. It was very funny. Did you have a favorite trick arrow? I had two.
I feel like the Pym arrow is kind of cheating in its sense.
That's why I have two, because I have a real one and then the Pym arrow.
The Pym arrow is just incredible. I mean, comedy wise, I mean the USB stick actually. It
was funny. Yes.
The USB stick, and didn't you retweet the picture that it was like this? The USB arrow is useless, and Clint's like, no, it's not. It can hold like 20 CDs and like all this. I'm like that, and the fact that she shot it and it just bounces harmlessly off the guy. That to me was just absolutely comical.
Yeah. My favorite, I don't know what you would call it. I'm calling it a web, like my headcanon, I'm calling it a web arrow. It's the one that she fires at the car when they're going through the Christmas tree shop. Or not the store, but like the place where you buy Christmas trees. And it, like basically it gets stuck to the car, and then all of a sudden these wires come out, like they remind me of webs, and pull all the trees to the car and basically like stop them that way. I thought that was great. I want to talk about the Pym arrow. Clint has a Pym arrow where it was so cool, where Kate fires up this arrow up into the sky, and Clint is just able to pop it with a Pym arrow. Thing turns giant, crashes onto the back of the truck or the car that they're driving. Huge explosion. It was so fun. And then you have that cool little move where Kate and Clint jump off. They use that grappling arrow, and they're able to swing under the bridge onto the train. Just a very cool scene. It was very fun. Was very Marvel. Was perfect for the show, I thought.
I also really thought the shtick back and forth on the train was great. Like, we need to take the dog out, and then she was like, and then Clint can't hear anything. He goes, "You're really good." And then like after the nice moment, he's like, "Probably should walk the dog."
Yeah,
that to me was hilarious.
And it shows even though they can't hear each other, they're on the like Clint's on the same page as Clint. So it really shows their teamwork. Shows that they have a good working relationship, even though this is kind of all crazy at this point. Kate has a lot to learn with these trick arrows and whatnot, but also Clint will say, like, you really are the world's greatest archer. You are not lying. You are very good at this kind of thing. So again, putting respect on Kate Bishop's name as the next Hawkeye was really, really cool.
So my question,
Cliff,
before we jump in, I have a question. Is Kazi evil?
No, I think he's on the same level as Maya. They're like, I think they're.
But he's not angry. He's not an angry person. I think he's just. I think he's the situation where it's just has always been his life.
Remember in Spider-Man Homecoming where he gets the information from Donald Glover's character, and like he still trapped him. He's like, "You're still a criminal." That's what I think this is like. Like, you're a nice guy, but you're still a criminal. So like, you probably should go to jail, but like, hopefully you get reformed and you're out in like a year or two, kind of.
Oh, you mean Miles' uncle?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Prowler. Shout out to Uncle Aaron. Okay. The part I want to talk about.
Okay.
Unky Wilson. We get this scene in the prologue, I guess you'd call it, where I think it was right after the martial arts thing. A big meaty fist comes up to little girl Maya in a black suit. We just see probably from like 3 inches below his wrist up to his hand, just kind of caresses her face nicely, like, "Hey, good job, kid," kind of thing. That was Kingpin. It has to be Kingpin. If it's not Kingpin, do we know where Marvel Studios is located? I will by the time I storm up there. I'll tell you that. You don't have to tell me now, but I'll figure it out and I'll storm up there.
I'm pretty sure California.
I will storm if this is not Kingpin. But we get this interesting scene where after Clint and Kate were able to escape, we got Maya and Kazi talking. They're talking in ASL, which is pretty cool. But Kazi mentions that they're supposed to be keeping a low profile, and that Uncle would not be happy. We have to assume Uncle is Wilson Fisk. We have to assume that. If we're wrong, what am I doing with my life right now? I was literally so excited when I saw that hand come up in that beginning episode, and him being referred to as Uncle makes too much sense because Maya does have like a history with Wilson Fisk being like a caretaker for her after Wilson Fisk kills her dad, which in this show, I think that's what you're alluding to earlier. Did Ronan actually kill Maya's dad? In this case, it maybe looked like they switched from the comic book origin story, which I don't really care too much. But this has to be Wilson Fisk. We have to be getting him in the next episode or so. There's no way. It was very exciting though to have that little it's coming. It's coming. I think it's coming.
I agree. It needs to be Fisk. It needs to be Kingpin. I think that just makes a lot of sense. Especially the hand. If it's not, it's just mean. It's just, at this point, it's just mean.
It's really a slap in the face to me.
But that's where I'm getting in. So in the comics, we know that Kingpin kills Maya's father and blames it on Daredevil.
Yes.
In this case, she thinks that Ronan killed her father. It would be such a Fisk thing to hire a killer to dress like Ronan to kill the father, especially because the Ronan that kills the father doesn't retract the sword after he kills the dad.
Right.
I know there's continuity errors between Infinity War or Endgame and this, but technically it's just stab the father, pulls it out and runs away when he could have easily retracted it. I don't think that would be way too much baggage to just keep racking up the Clint kills.
I want Clint to have killed Maya's father so badly because I think it would be such an interesting story to look into that Clint was so desperate to get out his anger after what happened in Infinity War, where the snap and the blip, whatever you want to call it, happens, that he turns to Wilson Fisk and is like the hand of the fist of Wilson Fisk. I think that would be such incredible depth to explore that. That's kind of why I wish it was. I hope it is Clint, because we'll talk about the role model thing in a second. I think it'll be very interesting, and I just want to see how Marvel Studios will handle it. I'm very excited to see how that would work out.
I do, but I don't. Clint already has the world.
He has a bunch of kills. Yeah, I got you.
Clint already has the world's newest best assassin coming after him. He doesn't need the second best. He doesn't need both of them coming. Kate might just join in at that point. Oh, Hawkeye wasn't able to stop the explosion that killed her father.
Yeah.
Now it's his fault also. I don't know. I think this is where I'm starting to get nervous because now we have 3 episodes left. IMDb lied. They said that Florence Pugh was in 4 episodes of Hawkeye, but she is not. But she must be introduced next episode. Actually, we got a promo image, and it was someone wearing what looked like Spider Monkey outfit, but it had all like the goggles for night vision.
Interesting.
Which, if you know Elena's character, that's her comic outfit. So I think we're getting close to definitely her being in the next episode. But no, I'm very happy where we're at, and now it's time to third and fourth episode are the climax.
Now, here's the only thing that I didn't like about this scene, because I do want to move on because we have 2 more things to talk about. I wish we got to see more of the ASL. Especially with Maya, it was just close-ups of her face with the closed captioning. I want to see the ASL because I think representation is very important. I already know you have a deaf actress already doing it, so that's huge. But I think for more and more people to see ASL, maybe they pick up on a couple of things. I thought that would have been kind of cool, so I was a little, not even upset. It was it's not going to ruin my day kind of anything, but I wish they didn't have as much close-up with Maya and Kazi. I wish it was the ASL with the subtitles. I thought would have been cool, but
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Representation absolutely matters. We know this. Marvel is starting to get very good at it. Do you want, this is where the question comes in, and this is where what you sacrifice for other parts. Do you want Maya to be just known as the deaf character?
That's fair.
Or
that's a good point.
Those close-ups of her acting was phenomenal. Her face, her movements, just, she sold it so well.
And you just sold me on that. That's a great point.
And
that's a great freaking point.
Where we see it. We also see it a lot in Eternals.
That is
and it didn't take away from her role either in Eternals, but her acting. I understand that she's deaf. I don't care is the wrong word. Her acting to me is what sold me for her being just such a good Echo.
That's a great point. Cliff? Yep. 10 points to Gryffindor or whatever house you're.
Oh, it's Gryffindor. Don't worry.
I thought you'd be a Slytherin.
That's an obvious one. No, I'm not evil.
Nah, well. All right. We'll move to this point quick because then we got the last one too. But this point, I called it not a role model on our little show notes. So Clint and Kate, they go to get his hearing aid fixed. There was something else I want to talk about. Whatever, over it.
We have time. It's fine.
I want to go back real quick to the teamwork thing. There's this really cute moment where Clint gets a call from he thinks it's his wife. It's really Nathaniel. He doesn't have a hearing aid, and again, this really shows the bonding and teamwork of Kate and Clint as they're able to communicate. Or Clint's able to communicate through Nathaniel because Kate starts like writing, like here's what he's saying basically, so he can respond accordingly. And it was great on two levels because it's one shows how great of a team they are, where Kate was able to do that real quick. Also shows that like Kate doesn't have a father in her life, so she feels bad for Nathaniel because he's missing his dad, and can see the pain on Clint's face, how much this is ruining it. Like she might be affecting inadvertently his Christmas because he's not with his family, but like also the father-daughter relationship that Kate and Clint have, that was really great. Sorry, I want to touch on that teamwork. Going back to what I was going to say, not a role model. That kind of goes with it. Kate does look up to Clint a lot. I'm surprised at this point we haven't seen her mention like "you saved my life" in the Battle of New York kind of thing, and that's when I'm
surprised we haven't had that yet.
Yeah, maybe we will once like she's gonna find out he's Ronin. I would have to guess in this episode or in this show. Maybe I'll get back, but like I wish we had that moment where she's like, I literally was at my father's casket, and I said I wanted a bow and arrow to start learning archery because you saved my life. Like, and maybe we'll get that. I'm just surprised we haven't got that soon, but like Kate is trying to convince him, like, yeah, you need to elevate your branding. We get a cool little sketch that she makes of like the original Hawkeye suit from the comics, which is always funny because they've been incorporating more and more of the traditional comic book suits in some way, shape, or form in these Marvel shows and movies, which has been great. And he's like, listen, I'm not a role model. And we know why he's saying that because he was Ronin. He killed a bunch of bad people during those 5 years in between Infinity War and Endgame. And like Kate is like, no, like, you are a hero. Like what you're doing, you're helping me kind of thing is really important. So that was really cool. I don't know if you have anything on that.
Well, the scene, the communication scene with the phone conversation was beautiful. It made Courtney cry, actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because, like, I mean, I'm not a role model, which is very interesting because Tony Stark approached wow, I was horrible in the past and I'm trying to right my wrongs. So I'm going to now be a good role model for someone.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Spider-Man.
Yeah. Right.
It's gonna be heartbreaking. Yeah. It's gonna be losing
that trust a little potentially.
It's gonna be the whole thing where you never meet your heroes, and I'm breaking my own heart.
And it's gonna be crazy because I would kind of guess it'd probably be Alina, bringing it up.
I think it's gonna be Kingpin.
That's fair.
If anyone's gonna ruin it, it's gonna be with everyone all together and just break Kate's heart. Just rip her heart out of her chest right then and there. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if her mom was the one that did it too, but I digress. Last big point, we get some detective work going. Clint reveals that there's another individual apart from Lopez who's leader of the tracksuits. This is kind of why I'm leaning towards like Clint worked for Kingpin maybe because he knows there's somebody higher and he just kind of wants to keep it hush-hush for now. Maybe, I don't know, and that's why I like that theory that Clint was hired out by Kingpin to take care of the tracksuit mafia. I think that'd be an interesting angle to take, but that's all we get on that part. We don't get anything else. Kate's still obviously really suspicious of Jack for his black market dealings and his potential connection to Armand III's murder and death that we saw in the first episode or second one? Second episode, I think. No, first episode. They sneak into her penthouse and they are able to breach into Bishop's security to obtain information about the tracksuit mafia. They look into information about Kazi. They discover he's employed at something called Sloan Limited, which is something that's a name that's kind of familiar to Clint, which is interesting. Do you have any idea what Sloan Limited could be? I have a guess, but
Wasn't someone else employed by Bishop Security though? Also,
Well, he wasn't employed by Bishop.
someone else was though, weren't they? Or
I don't remember,
I
to be
don't know
honest.
who do you. Like I said, I'm not as well versed in the comics, but what would you think it'd be?
So I think Sloan Limited is a shell corporation for Fisk.
Okay, is there a name
in the Daredevil show? Nothing with the name. It seems like if Clint's like, kind of that sounds suspicious kind of thing. Like that sounds familiar. I'm wondering if it's again, maybe he worked for Kingpin at one point, and maybe he just remembers the shell company where money's just being funneled to get away from the government. Because in the Daredevil show, he had, I think, something with a V Corp or something like that. He had a slush fund there, a offshore little bank account. In the comics, he has a bunch of different of those like shell corporations as well. So that's why I think it would be. But just an interesting Sloan Limited is going to come up eventually. I just don't know how it connects to the comics. I don't think it does. I just think it is what it is. But anyway, Kate tries to look up information on Jack, but she's locked out of the system. Clint keeps going, Kate, are we alone? Are we alone? And Kate's like, yeah, obviously we're alone. Like, we're fine. Clint doesn't believe it. He goes to investigate, and he's not spoiler. What am I thinking of? The word. When you stop something. Cliffhanger. There we go. That's the word I'm thinking of.
You have half the words sitting right next to you.
Yeah, big cliffhanger here. I get what you did there. Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Is caught and threatened by Jack, who's wielding Ronin's sword. So Clint's coming up to the weapon. He used Jack, obviously we know in the comics, as swordsman. If you don't, I think we talked about that last episode. But that's where this episode ends. So we get this little detective work where can't find any information on Jack. We got the Sloan Limited. We got the fact that Kate's might not be the best detective work kind of person, but luckily Clint is and knows that something is off. Somebody's in his house, and we get that awesome thing. So I hope we get a big fight scene between Jack and Clint, because we know Jack is a good swordsman. We saw it in the little fencing scene from episode 2 with Kate. So it'd be awesome if we get Clint with his bow and arrow and Kate versus swordsman, aka Jack with.
I don't think we're gonna get a fight scene between them next episode. It's coming. It's boiling down to it.
Oh, I think it'll be in the penthouse. There'll just be a giant fight.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if I've even told you this theory. I truly think that something's going to happen to the mom at the end, get arrested or whatever. I think that the penthouse now is going to become the Avengers apartment.
That'd be kind of cool.
I think that's where they're leading to, because Clint makes jokes about it. But I mean, I think Kate does exactly what Mantis talks about. She knows how to kick names and take ass. That's pretty much. I think that's the best way to explain Kate so far in regards to her sleuthing. But
yeah, any other thoughts on this episode? Because that's really it. It was great. It was a great episode.
I mean, reviewers really liked it. If you saw it, I mean, people were gushing over it online. It's always fun. I gave a shout out on Twitter the other day, but to the two writers for it were Katie Mathewson and Tanner Bean. I saw it all over Twitter, all the gushing about it. So I thought it was a great job. I'm ready to see where it goes from here. It is now Monday the 6th. You're going to be watching this hopefully on the 7th. And then the next day you got to watch the 4th episode of Hawkeye.
Yeah, and it's good. I can't wait. This show is so good, and we got a lot left to go. Cliff?
Maybe not a lot left to go, but we're getting there.
But you know what? This is going to set up a lot of stuff. Like, we're going to get Kate Bishop again one day. It's going to happen. And she's phenomenal, so I can't wait. And hopefully we get Yelena maybe next episode. Maybe next episode we got Kingpin. It's so much to be excited for Wednesday morning. But Cliff, where can people talk to or reach out to you if they want to talk more about Hawkeye?
You can find me at CPRobinson81. But before I even ask you, imagine if they bring back Wilson Fisk. They bring him back just for the final scene of the show is just Echo killing him. Would that be even worse? Would that be worse?
No, that'd be worse. That would be worse
than him not even being in it.
Yeah, because I need him to be around for a long time. Yeah, no, that would actually be terrible. And maybe you can kill him in like 3 other shows, but if it's like I get Kingpin for 2 episodes back and that's
no, not even one single scene. Imagine that. That would just be
talk to me on Twitter at CamRamos95. Cliff just really made me upset. At CamRamos95, at Stream the Mouse on Twitter, at Streaming with the Mouse on Facebook and Instagram. Why do you have to do that, Cliff?
It's
Good. Oh my god, that's gonna be stressing me out the next 3 weeks that this is all I'm gonna get. Jeez Louise. You can find a podcast on our website, cprob.com/stream the mouse. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Just type in Streaming with the Mouse. Be sure to like, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all the good stuff on those different platforms. Helps us get more ears and eyes on our product and our podcast. We're going to be trying to change things up in the new year. I know we're looking at potentially a new logo, so stick around for that, hopefully. But Cliff, anything else to add?
have a magical day, everyone.
Cliff, I'm not going to let you say anything else besides that because I don't want you to ruin something else for me. Have a magical day, everybody. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next week where we'll talk about episode 4 of Hawkeye. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.